Here's a brief introduction to fire suppression. Fire streams, the hose stream that you use. So a couple things to talk about. We have two different nozzle types. We have a smooth bore, and those are on the Rosenbauer engines that are delivering compressed air foam, CAFs. Smooth bore nozzles are needed for the CAF system. Then we have a combination nozzle that a lot of us take a shortcut and call a fog nozzle. Technically, it's a combination nozzle, which means it can make a straight stream, a solid stream that's very straight, just like the smooth bore's solid stream, or you can adjust that combination nozzle, and by just twisting the tip, you can adjust that to provide a not solid stream, but a fog stream, and that can be varied, and you've seen that, and we'll see that more on the fireground. But just wanted you to have the background knowledge. There are smooth bores that produce a solid stream, and there are combination nozzles that produce a straight stream, and that is, we use those interchangeably. So when do you use a smooth or straight stream versus a fog? Well, the smooth or straight streams, they get a much better reach. You can squirt water farther than a fog. The fog pattern, fog stream will break up and doesn't get as much length as you would get from just adjusting that combination nozzle to straight or using a smooth bore. Smooth bores and straight streams use much less, bring in much less air than a fog nozzle. I'll say that again. When you're using a fog nozzle, you can feel the air being pulled in from behind you and out by the fire stream. Much less air is brought in with the smooth bore or the straight stream on a combination nozzle. Air entrainment matters when you think back to the fire tetrahedron, because if you need oxygen in order for the fire to burn more, that's got to come from air, and so you want to know and intentionally bring air in under your terms. And so your fog nozzle will be bringing more air to the fire than will a solid stream coming from either that smooth bore or the combination nozzle set on straight. The other thing about smooth bore and straight streams is that there's more nozzle back pressure. The fog nozzle, especially on wide fog, is very easy to handle, whereas there's a lot more nozzle back pressure, a little bit more difficult to handle with the others. Foam is good. We have two types, Class A foam and Class B foam. The Class B foam we'll talk about here in a second. Class A foam we use whenever we can. On all of our structure fires and brush fires, we like Class A foam. Class A foam makes water wetter. It makes water soak in better. It breaks down the surface tension and just allows us to get a lot more cooling and a lot more fire suppression out of the same amount of water. So we are able to use less water to do the same amount of firefighting because we're using Class A foam. The Rosenbauer engines use compressed air mixed with Class A foam. The Pierce engines do not have a compressed air system but still use Class A foam. Class B foam we carry in buckets. That's on all the engines. Requires a special setup with a special item, an appliance called a foam eductor. We deal with that in a separate setting. Extinguishers, like I said earlier, we have water cans that have compressed air that allow us to spray water pretty effectively. You can put out a decent amount of fire with a water can. And then we have dry chem ABC extinguishers. And then we also have specialty Class D for those flammable metals, and those extinguishers are on the squads. In terms of fire attack, how do we go about doing business here? Well, we have exterior attack, interior attack, and then a combination of that called transitional attack. The deal with exterior attack is that you are attacking the fire from outside the structure, so you are, by definition, at less risk. It's very fast to get that hose line in play. You can deploy it off the engine, get it to an exterior window, be applying water much quicker than you can take that same hose and find your way through the house to where the fire is. It's also less precise. It's not going to be complete and sufficient by itself because we won't be able to get underneath objects. We won't be able to check for extension of the fire through a wallboard or into a ceiling. So exterior attack has its place, and it is a very, very effective tool that's come back in the last, couple dozen years, come back into to popularity. It's very effective because of its speed and its reduced risk. By contrast, obviously you're at more risk when you go into a house that has been on fire or is on fire, and it's slower. It just takes longer. No matter how good the crew is, it just takes longer to get in there. But it's more precise. You can put water right where you want it. You can walk right up to objects and put the fire out, and you can pull ceiling and search for extension. So a combination of the two is usually what we like to do. And so the transitional attack starts on the exterior and then transitions to an interior position. So you get the best of both worlds and can mitigate the risk of that interior attacks to some extent. Here's the key concept for you. The thing that matters the most is how quickly we can make that transition. In some cases, we'll be able to quickly take the hose line on the exterior and rapidly move it to the interior before the fire rebuilds. In some cases, we'll need a second hose line. One we're deploying on the exterior, and then when we're ready for interior, the interior crew is right there and ready to go, and there's no time lost as we transition. Our priorities on an incident are always the same. Life safety is a top priority. Life safety for us and for folks that are involved in the incident. Then our secondary priority is incident stabilization. We would like the fire to go out, not spread to other exposures. We don't want the situation to get any worse than it was when we got there. And then thirdly, we're looking at property conservation. It's not that we don't care about property conservation. It's not that we don't care about the people's belongings that are in the back bedroom when the fire wasn't even close to there. It's just that life safety is a higher priority, and then overall stabilizing the incident, putting out the fire is our second, and then we work to property conservation. We have two strategies that we use to accomplish our objectives and meet those priorities. One is offensive and the other is defensive. I think those are fairly self-explanatory. What may not be self-explanatory is that we can switch strategies. We can be offensive to start with, need to go defensive when the roof's coming in on us, and then once things have stabilized some, then we go back to offensive. We can change back and forth, and we will tell you on the fire ground what strategy mode we're in. Our risk management plan is very simple. You can probably even fill in the rest of this. We will risk a lot to save a lot. We will risk lives to save lives. That's the business we're in. It's an incredibly dangerous business, but that's the job that we're asked to do. However, we're not going to risk anything to try to save something that's already lost. So we're smart about our risk. We manage that risk, and that's our management plan. There's a whole bunch of details that we'll need for you to learn and figure out. It's all based on this problem. The fire doesn't care about our process. The fire keeps burning while we mess around with getting dispatched, finding where the call is, getting to the station, getting a truck out of the station, driving to the fire, getting our gear on, our STB on, getting our hose lines deployed, doing our attack things. All this stuff takes time, and meanwhile the fire's just burning. It doesn't care. And so this is why we work so hard on being fast and accurate with alarm and response and turnout time and with putting our gear on and SCBA and getting hose lines off. This is a time-dependent matter when someone's house is on fire. We also have communication things that we must be good at, and smooth and fast and accurate, and how we receive a call, how we operate on a scene, how we manage accountability, how we make sure that we're reporting to one supervisor only, and that how we operate radios and communicate. And all of these have separate lessons. Then we have various tasks that we work on. We need to do ventilation from time to time. Sometimes we use fans, sometimes we use hose lines with hydraulic ventilation, and those links we'll share with you separately. We need to be able to manage ladders. We need to be able to force entry and make access into structures. We need to be able to perform overhaul, where we take apart walls and ceilings and move things around as needed to make sure that we got all the fire out. We need to talk about how to do salvage and practice doing salvage so that people's belongings that aren't involved in the fire suffer as little damage as possible from the smoke and the water in our processes. We have all kinds of support things with generators and lights and air bottles and rehab sectors and a whole bunch of other things to do. There's a ton to learn to do this job, and we break it down and start with the priority things and move forward. Then we talk about how to actually apply the water, how to actually apply the fire stream, the specific angle that we're going to use, and the specific target where we're going to aim the hose stream, where we're going to spray water. We talk about controlling doors, ventilation control, how to deal with attic fires. We talk about all of these things with the fire tetrahedron in mind, with building construction in mind, with fire behavior in mind, and with all of our process things, our communication, our accountability, and all those things that we do. And then there's the what if situations, the oh no situations where you get in trouble and you have to call a mayday and we have to use a rapid intervention team. And there's breathing area issues and you're entangled in things and there's all kinds of bad stuff that can go on. We have separate lessons for each of those. There's a lot to learn here. So in summary, we attack fires with a straight stream from a smooth bore nozzle or a combination nozzle. Sometimes we use fog. You'll need to figure out when to use which, and we'll help you learn that. We love to use foam. We need to figure out the types of foams, the type of materials and extinguishers, and then we have priority strategies, risk management plans, and the bottom line is the fire doesn't wait on our process. The fire keeps burning, so we have to be accurate and quick as we execute our processes, take care of business, do the job that we do.